state your name for the record?
Madam President, members of the council, my name is John Pappalardo. With me is Emily Bryan. We are attorneys from the law firm of Greenberg Traurig. And we are here to address the agenda item that was number 2 for tonight's meeting. May we proceed? Yes. Thank you. Since 2016, we have been privileged to represent Carlo Di Maria in connection with matters related to his political future. For some time, Carlo Di Maria has been the subject of demonstrably false and untrue allegations, specifically related to the performance of his official duties as mayor. Greenberg Traurig has been engaged to enhance his political future by addressing these scurrilous and unfounded attacks, which are designed to mislead the public and impugn the mayor's integrity and reputation. These salacious and baseless attacks are not only designed to be detrimental to the mayor, but also have a pernicious impact on the city of Everett. The attacks take the form of false and misleading press coverage, social media, and anonymous flyers. I can provide a few examples. Before I do, I would be happy to entertain questions and elaborate to the extent that I can in connection with anything that you might want to discuss.
Councilor, my colleagues are not ready to give you questions tonight, so this is only communications that were taken from the mayor. And then I guess when we go to committee as a whole, then you can answer any questions at that time. But this is only a communication right now.
Madam Chairwoman?
Yes.
There were questions that were submitted to the public 2 weeks ago that everyone on this body received. I think those questions would be fine to answer if the attorneys would like to. They were submitted for the public 2 weeks ago.
There were questions submitted to the public, and how many questions are those, Councilor?
They were read in public, and they were delivered to each member of this body 2 weeks ago.
Councilor Capone.
Thank you, Madam President. With all due respect to our guests, I appreciate that they're here. We have this set up for a committee of the whole. Are we going to go through this all tonight and then do it again? We have a full agenda here, a night of business to take care of. We have a colleague who is the sponsor, and he's not prepared. And just because a handful of questions were put together doesn't mean that's all the questions that this entire body has. I expected March 9th. I focused on tonight's agenda. I didn't focus on this piece. So if they want to answer any questions, that's fine. But rather than do this twice, I would rather just do this once. So again, I'm going to ask that we lay this on the table, and then we line up a date that works for everyone so that before we leave this chamber, everybody knows what the date is, and then we'll address it at that time. I don't see the purpose of doing this twice.
Okay. Councilor Matusky.
Thank you, Madam President. Now, we just found out just a few minutes ago that March 9th, is that the date of the supposedly committee of the whole, that the mayor can't attend?
I'm not 100% sure on that. You can ask him that question.
So when were we going to find out? Tonight that that meeting was canceled, the committee of the whole? So these people are here, and if we can limit this to a certain time to address just what's on there that was listed at the last council meeting and get this moving forward, I don't see a problem with that.
So basically what you're saying, ask the questions that are there now, but councilors, you can ask the questions, but I just want you to know that some councilors do have further questions. It still would have to be at a committee as a whole.
Well,
So,
you have to plan a new,
Well, whatever committee the councilors, yeah.
well, we're just finding this out tonight. This is a problem with this council. The mayor's not going to be able to attend that meeting. He just said that. And you want the mayor, the resolution states that the mayor appear on the 9th. And now we just found out the mayor cannot attend that meeting. Well, see, you know, you're just changing things around. I'm here to get things done. If these people are here, these attorneys, and move forward with this tonight, I don't have a problem with that. I'm not the sponsor of this piece, but, you know, I know you are. But the 9th can't be done, so they're here tonight. Now, I just got my calendar Saturday, so I didn't even know this was on the agenda, so, I mean...
Okay, well, we've already invited the guests up, so let's, wait, I'm not going to go back and forth. Let's have them answer the questions.
I think that would be a fair thing to do. They are here tonight.
And then you could continue. You could,
Madam Chairman, can I make a comment?
We set aside an hour.
Madam Chairman, can I make a comment?
Want to do it now?
Madam Chairman, can I make a comment?
yes, Mr. Mayor.
For the last 6 years, I've endured Councilman Marchese's Facebook
Let's not
posts.
use any names,
No,
please.
No, he attacked, yeah, you're the one who cries. He constantly attacks me on social media, in the public, in the newspaper, the Everett Leader Herald.
And so that's.
In the Everett Leader Herald.
Okay, I'm going to request for a 10-minute recess if this is going to continue.
Why is it 10-minute recess? We don't need a recess. Mr. Pappalardo is here to answer the defamatory comments that have been made in the newspapers, week after week. What is the mayor trying to hide? Is he Pappalardo tell you what is going on and why he is with me tonight? I mean, this is a game being played by a certain few people here.
I wasn't even a council, you're still spending.
Okay, all right, let's have, all right,
It's supposed to be a communication, it's not a
Come
communication.
up the night of and say, I can't make it.
okay. So, Mr. Mayor,
Yes?
are you going to be able to make the March 9th meeting if this continues?
Mr. Pappalardo is not in the country that day,
Okay,
but he's prepared to make a statement tonight.
so let him make a statement. I'm going to let him make a statement, and after that,
Don't tell me that the questions that Councilman Marchese or anyone else here, that they don't have their questions. They've asked those questions in the paper. Pull the Everett Leader Herald, and he asked the questions, what is the mayor trying to hide? Why does he have his attorney? Why is he spending all this money? Is he under investigation? Is he under indictment? Talking about the proffer agreement. He's here to tell you.
Why don't you answer it?
He's here to tell you.
Why don't you answer it?
all right, Counselor, order. No cross debating. Let's continue.
So let him speak. That's what he's here for.
Okay, I am prepared to address your questions and your concerns. These aren't questions. What are the payments? Do you want me to proceed with this, or do you want me to explain to you what's going on?
Whatever the board would like. Councilor Matusky, what would you like? You
Well, I
have the
think
floor.
the attorneys here, go based on what you can make out of the resolution at the last meeting, maybe that would be the way to go. And why are you getting paid? That's what the councilman wants to know.
Okay, as I indicated to you previously, I explained to you what we were doing here. I explained to you why we were being paid. I will repeat. The mayor has been the subject of demonstrably false and untrue allegations specifically related to the performance of his official duties as mayor. We have been engaged to enhance his political future by addressing these scurrilous and unfounded attacks, which are designed to mislead the public and impugn the mayor's integrity and reputation. These attacks are not only salacious and baseless, and not only designed to be detrimental to the mayor, but also have a demonstrably pernicious effect and impact on the city of Everett. The attacks have taken place over a 4-year period, and perhaps before. I've only been involved for 4 years. I can provide a couple of examples, and hopefully by providing these examples and discussing them, I will cover some of the questions that are in this sheet. The mayor has been unfairly and inaccurately portrayed as a snitch and an FBI informant. All of these allegations are completely untrue and without foundation. The purported basis of this is that there was a proffer agreement that was entered into by the mayor. Anybody who extrapolates from a proffer agreement into the idea that he's providing information or is a snitch for the FBI doesn't understand either the criminal law or the way the criminal justice system works. If you are an individual and the government is conducting an investigation and the government wants to hear from you, you have two choices. You either talk to them or say you don't want to talk to them. People who have nothing to hide, people who are innocent of wrongdoing, people who are not behind or have any agendas and have done nothing wrong will talk. When they talk, they sign proffer agreements. The fact that you sign a proffer agreement has no legal import other than to say that nothing you say can ever be used against you as long as it's truthful. Who determines whether it's truthful? The government determines it's truthful. On the other hand, people who have something to hide don't talk. What do? They invoke their constitutional privilege against self-incrimination. If you've done something wrong, you don't talk. If you haven't, then you talk. And that's particularly true if you are holding a public office. There is nothing sinister, there is nothing unusual, there is nothing that is in any fashion extrapolating about a proffer agreement. It's done every day of the week. I'm sure that people in this room have engaged in proffer sessions. It's done, any lawyer, and by the way, I wasn't Mr. DiMaria's lawyer in 2013, but any lawyer who practices in this arena would require a proffer agreement. Why? Because it provides an ability to set the ground rules for a meeting with the FBI and a meeting with the prosecutor's office. That's what was done here. Let me tell you what wasn't done here. Okay? In any meeting that took place, information passed. That information was very clear. That information was accepted by the government as being completely true. What does that mean? It means that if it wasn't true, he would have been indicted for perjury. If it wasn't true, he would have been indicted for false statements to the FBI. It was accepted by the government. It was true. That was the end of it. He didn't hide behind the Fifth Amendment. He told them what they wanted to know, just like tens of, at least 50 people that I'm familiar with in retrospect who were spoken to by the FBI, who had proffer agreements, did the same thing. Is he a witness for the FBI? No. Was he ever a witness in a criminal case? No. There have been criminal cases. There have been criminal cases about the subject matter of this case. Was he a witness? No. Was he charged? No. Is he an informant? No. It's fairly clear. In fact, it couldn't be clearer. A couple of other things that have been said. Oh, this proffer agreement goes on forever. It can last 25 years. Hogwash. Any proffer agreement that is entered into by the United States government in connection with an investigation lasts for that day and that day only. If you go before the government again, they execute a new proffer agreement. It lasts for a day. And what is determined by that agreement is, one, is what you're saying truthful, and two, if it's truthful, that's the end of it. And by the way, People who have nothing to hide and talk to the FBI do this all the time. It's very, very simple. So on one hand, he's been portrayed as an FBI informant. I've been in this case since 2016. I've had one conversation with the government, one. That conversation was, I represent Carlo Di Maria. If you have any questions, call me. I'm still waiting for the call. Hopefully that'll address the issue of whether or not Mr. Di Maria, Mayor Di Maria, is an informant. Secondly, we read about, and we've read reams of information about Kickback Carlo. He's an informant. But wait a second, no, he's a crook. He takes money. He takes money in connection with his official duties. So let's call him Kickback Carlo. Absolutely, completely untrue. Has he ever been charged with a crime? Is there even an investigation? I suggest to you the answer is no. There was an investigation in 2013. The investigation resulted in the charging of various individuals. That case went to federal court. Those individuals were found not guilty. Was Carlo Di Maria mentioned? Much less, did he testify? The answer is no. He had nothing to do with that. So he's now Kickback Carlo for what? For what? I can tell you for what. He's been the subject of patently false reports that he's involved in a civil suit connected with the casino. Is anybody here familiar with the civil suit? Well, let me give you some highlights of the civil suit. A complaint was filed in 2018, in September of 2018, relating to events involving the casino. In connection with that complaint, was Carlo Di Maria charged with anything in the civil suit by a private litigant? The answer is no. Was his name even mentioned in connection with that civil suit? The answer is no. But let me tell you what did happen. The case was before then Chief Judge Patty Saris in federal court in Boston. She questioned the validity of that civil suit. She questioned the bona fides of that civil suit. Again, not having anything to do with the mayor of Everett. She said she was inclined to dismiss that civil suit. So what happened? In February of 2019, an amended complaint was filed in connection with that civil suit. Again, the mayor wasn't a defendant in that case. He had no opportunity to defend himself. But was he mentioned? Absolutely. Because unfounded, unsubstantiated, unsupported, unmeritorious accusations were made in that civil suit. What happened? In November of this year, the same judge looked at that civil suit and said, even though all of these allegations that are made, conversations that the mayor may have had, things that he may have done or was accused of doing without, again, any evidence to support any of it, even if it were true, let me take it as true and let me assess the quality of your civil suit. What did she do? Taking all of those allegations to be facially accurate when she conceded that they weren't, because there was no evidence to support them, taking them as true, she then dismissed the case with prejudice, meaning the case can't be brought again. So not only wasn't he named in the suit, even accepting everything there to be true, she threw the case out of court, never to be brought back. And what's the import of that? Lawyers, people in this room are lawyers. You understand that the burden of proof in a civil suit is not high. In fact, it's very low. It's a preponderance of the evidence. More probable than not is all you have to prove. And in this case, they couldn't even sustain a complaint that passed a prima facie case, accepting the untruths to even be true. But what does that mean? When you're talking about kickback Carlo, okay? When you're talking about activities of the mayor, what it means is this. If there's no civil cause of action where the preponderance of evidence is the standard, more probable than not, something more than 50%, what about a criminal case where you have to show guilt beyond a reasonable doubt? The standard in a criminal case is substantially and exponentially higher. If you can't make a civil case because it doesn't exist, how can you make a criminal case? And by the way, do you really think that the United States Attorney in Massachusetts is a shrinking violet? Do you really think that if there was a case there, he wouldn't bring it? Do you really think that he could ever be accused for being anything less than very aggressive? I suggest not. He's extremely aggressive. He's nationally known for being aggressive. He's nationally known for bringing cases. He brings cases and loses them even, if he thinks it's right to bring the case. No case has been brought against Carlo Di Maria. Carlo Di Maria has never testified in a case, civil or criminal. But what do we have? We have newspaper accounts that say, well, let's talk about this conversation that I had with Carlo Di Maria, in quotes, going back and forth about improper activity. Oh, by the way, at the end of the newspaper article it says, this is only a satire. How many people read to the end to find out it was a satire and didn't exist? Not once, but more than once. Okay? How about this civil case I just talked about? How about that? When it was dismissed on November 15th of 2019. But what happens? Flyers are sent to homes for people who live in Everett. Those flyers say that he's under investigation in a civil case. You mean the same case that was dismissed in November? No idea? Well, I do have an idea, and that's what it is.
And obviously that he's free and clear, so there shouldn't be any more money allocated for lawyers. That's what you're telling us.
Okay.
Just asking.
Well, wait a second. Is that a question?
Yes, it is.
Would you like me to answer that question? Okay. Let me direct your attention to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 55, Section 6. Are you familiar with that? Okay. Let me suggest that you could look it up. And what it says is that a public official is permitted to have lawyers to address exactly what I said we were doing.
What are you doing?
Would you like me to repeat that again?
No, I wouldn't like that. I don't want to ask you another question.
What we are doing is that we are dealing with matters relating to Mr. Di Maria, Mayor Di Maria's political future, okay? And in connection with that, we're addressing issues that have been raised because of demonstrably false and untrue allegations specifically related to his performance of his official duties as mayor, all permitted by the Massachusetts General Laws. Okay? Particularly in connection with the discharge of his official duties. This has nothing to do with a mayor or a public official walking down the street and punching somebody in the nose. That's a personal allegation. That's a personal cause of action. What it has to do with is criticism which is untrue, unfounded, and completely specious that deals specifically with the discharge of his duties as mayor. Let's go through some of these questions. You need to know, what are the payments to attorneys being paid from the mayor's campaign account? I just told you 3 times. Are they for personal issues not allowed by the law? The answer to that is no. If this is the case, then he needs to tell us what it is, please. I've already done that. The people need to know. Is that a question? I'm here to tell the people what this is about. Is he involved in an ongoing investigation? No. What did I just say? Is he an informant for the FBI? No. How can you be an informant and the target of an investigation at the same time? He's been accused of both.
Well, 2013, he had spoken, didn't he?
In 2013, he, along with 55 others, were asked questions by the FBI. If you're asked questions by the FBI, does that mean you've done something wrong?
We're
If
just
you
asking.
have, you don't answer them.
We're asking
Right?
you the question. We don't know.
In 2013, he was asked questions by the FBI, along with a lot of other people who signed proffer agreements. He provided truthful and complete responses to those questions. The government had no problem with what he said.
And that's the answer. He gave us the answer. We're asking the questions. Just give us the answer. That's all we're looking for.
That's the
This
answer.
isn't a court. We're just asking you questions.
That's the answer. Why is he spending so much money for criminal attorney representation? What part of I said relates to criminal attorney representation?
We don't know. We asked.
I
you.
just told you, none.
And we take your word on it, I guess, right?
My colleagues, every one of us, should know what these criminal attorney payments are for. I am an attorney. I've been an attorney for 45 years. I'm the senior partner of a very, very large international law firm. I am not here in connection with a criminal case. Let me also suggest something. $200,000. There's a question here. More than $200,000 has been written from his campaign account for legal. I don't know what his campaign account deals with as far as legal. I can tell you what we do. Okay? And if this were a criminal case, I occasionally handle criminal cases. When I handle a criminal case, I've not handled a criminal case in federal court where the fees have been less than $3 million. And over a 9-month period, not over a 4-year period. $200,000 is not that much money. If it were a criminal case, it would be incredibly more expensive, and it isn't. What legal? The mayor should tell us. I just told you. These aren't questions. This is why I'm asking that the mayor appear before a committee of the whole hearing as soon as possible to inform us. If he has nothing to hide or to worry about, we have nothing to hide or worry about the city's leaders. You have nothing to worry about the mayor. I can't say the same for others. I can speak to the mayor and to speak to his legal representation. Any other questions?
Counselor, I do have counselors that want to ask questions. Counselor Hanlon, you going to put your hand up? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Counselor Martins.
No, never mind. Never mind.
Counselor Capone.
Thank you, Madam President. Through to our guests. So I understand why you're here. I'm just a little frustrated that at the last second that we're being accosted as if we're doing something wrong. The idea was this was already set up for a meeting on March 9th. We find out tonight that the mayor's not available, or you're not available on March 9th. I thought we could have very easily rescheduled, but apparently my colleagues wanted to hear this evening. I think we should still have that meeting. Are you willing to make yourself available for another meeting down the road? You should have to check with your client and see if he's interested in paying for that.
Well, I will be happy to check with the client. I am not available. I am out of the country next week. I am not available on March 9th. I may be available later on in March. Having said that, I doubt very much that anything that I have said tonight is going to change either in substance or in form between now and the next meeting that you have. And by the way, for the, just so that you understand, I was told that this was an agenda item for this evening. I changed my schedule to be in Massachusetts today for this meeting. I'm hearing for the first time,
Yeah.
it was on an agenda item. I have the agenda. It's right here.
Yep.
So this is not a personal attack. I'm making statements that are very clear, they're unequivocal, and if you have questions about what I've said, I am happy to answer them.
Yep.
I'm
And I
happy to
appreciate,
answer them now.
and I appreciate that. And I'm sorry that you were misinformed that it was an agenda item of full impact. We had already had something set up for another date. So the appearance of council is a very big surprise to this body. You read the agenda and it says, the mayor requests permission to address the city council. That could be a letter. I figured it was going to be a quick statement. I didn't know he was coming with counsel to answer questions. I haven't drafted my questions, but I can ask you a few while you're here.
Sure.
The first thing that you have to understand, I know you're defending your client, that's your job, and in terms of whether things are in a newspaper or whether things are said, whether it's social media or whatever it is, the bottom line is the concern of this body, I'll speak for myself, the concern as an elected official is if information is put out there, we have a responsibility to the community. Now, there may be nothing to this whatsoever, and I would sincerely hope that that's the case. But the reality is, as an elected official, if news becomes apparent or there's an issue that's raised, we have a responsibility and obligation to address that. Now, a proffer agreement, I know what you're saying, but the reality is most people don't understand fully what a proffer agreement is. A proffer agreement is only in the realm of a criminal matter. And in order to get a proffer agreement, you either need to be a criminal defendant or you need to be under investigation.
Absolutely untrue. That's absolutely untrue.
So that's my understanding. So,
That understanding is incorrect.
okay, so if you have a proffer agreement at a minimum, let's take all that and put it out the window. At a minimum, the federal government has a very keen interest in speaking to you. Otherwise, they're not going to give you an agreement. They're not even going to come knocking on your door. If they want to talk to you, that's a pretty significant issue. I don't know if anybody here has ever had the FBI knock on their door and say the U.S. Attorney's Office wants to talk to you. I fortunately have never had that experience. I hope I never do. But the reality is it's a pretty significant issue. So if you hear proffer agreement, you want clarification. There's got to be a reason why the government wants to speak to someone. Now, any kind of an individual, it would raise a concern. Any elected official, absolutely, that concern gets heightened. When you're the mayor of a community, that concern should go through the roof, okay? There may be absolutely nothing to it. And again, we all hope that there isn't. But the obligation is, as an elected official, you have to look into it.
Okay, let me address two of your points.
Yeah.
Okay? The first one, you talk about your obligation as an elected official to get to the bottom of certain allegations.
To at least address it.
Okay.
I didn't say get the bottom.
I suggest to you, as an elected official, that you also have an obligation to look at the source of the information and determine whether or not that information has any merit, has any foundation, has any kind of basis to it, to determine how you should react. The nature of the source and the nature of the information should be a consideration in how you address things. As far as a proffer agreement is concerned, if you're familiar with any investigation, forget about the FBI, just talk about the police or government, okay? Allegations take place. Information goes to the government from a whole bunch of different sources, okay? Sometimes it can be a witness to something. Sometimes it could be somebody who's trying to divert attention from themselves and put it on to other people. Sometimes it could be individuals who have an unrelated problem, like a tax problem. But let me tell you how it. Let me tell you what I can do for you. The whole Varsity Blues case, the whole college admissions case, the entire case. Do you know how that came about? Well, let me explain to you how it came about. Okay, that case came about because an individual who was jammed up completely, caught dead to rights in connection with a stock fraud case, said to the government, by the way, would you be interested in knowing that I had to pay off to get my daughter into Yale?
Yeah.
Okay? Completely unrelated to
Well,
anything.
and
All I'm trying to say is...
I appreciate that, but let's
there's a
stay
myriad
with...
of reasons.
Yeah, let's
No,
stay
no,
with,
no.
let's stay with this issue. I could
This
care
is
less
this
about the
issue.
varsity
This is
blues.
exactly this issue.
Well,
At the time...
the
let me just
concern,
finish.
the concern we have is, why would the U.S. Attorney's Office want to speak with the mayor?
And I'm explaining that to you.
Okay, let's get to
That's exactly
it.
what I'm doing. When an investigation is underway, and in this case, the investigation was one that involved a whole host of different things. It involved public officials in different cities. It involved the Teamsters. It involved all kinds of things. There were many people who were spoken to. The government wants to speak to them to determine whether there's validity to assertions made by people. They want to do reality checks. It happens all the time. Many of those people, in fact, the vast majority of them, like your mayor, are innocent of any wrongdoing. They talk to them. They determine whether what they have to say is truthful. If it's truthful, that's the end. And by the way, what is said doesn't necessarily have to be evidence of any kind of wrongdoing, much less criminal activity. It could be, was this person at a certain place at a certain time for a council meeting? It could be as simple as that, and oftentimes is, as were many of the other people that were spoken to in connection with that investigation. There's nothing sinister about a proffer agreement. Absolutely nothing sinister. There's nothing that is problematic about that. I suggest to you again that if there's a problem, if somebody has an issue, a personal issue or a professional issue, that person, on advice of counsel, would never talk to the FBI. Why? Because they have something to hide. They wouldn't expose themselves. But somebody who doesn't obviously does.
Okay. So we have a proffer.
Yeah.
And are you saying that the proffer did exist?
I'm saying that there was a proffer agreement. I'm
Okay.
saying
It predated you.
Let me
It
tell
predated
this.
you. I get that.
I was not there.
Right.
Okay? My understanding, and I'm basing this, I'm telling you based upon my understanding.
Mm-hmm.
My understanding is that there was a proffer agreement. My understanding is that there were there were many, many people who signed proffer agreements, provided information to the FBI, all of whom were not involved in any of this.
Okay. And I know this predates you, so it might make it a little more difficult, but what was the particular topic? What did they want to know from our mayor? That's our concern.
Particular topic?
Yeah.
This is an educated guess on my part.
Okay.
The particular topic had to do with the land that formed the basis of the casino. And the reason why I'm answering the question in that form is because individuals were charged with crimes relating to the acquisition or hidden interests in land. Okay? They were charged with federal crimes. They went to trial for those federal crimes. By the way, they were found not guilty. But more important in connection with that was the mayor a witness in that case? No.
Okay.
Did he have anything to do with that case? The case that finally went to trial? No. Did he even come up? No.
So-
That in and of itself, I suggest to any rational observer, would be dispositive of what involvement the mayor had with that case, also known as none.
I guess part of the problem is that it's an educated guess on your part as opposed to being actively involved
Well,
at the time.
It's not
I
an
don't wanna-
educated guess.
I don't want to debate it.
Wait a second, it's not a debate.
Yeah.
It's not an educated guess that he wasn't a witness. It's not an educated guess that his name didn't come up.
Well, that's fine. If you're saying that this predated you and it was an educated guess on what they wanted to speak to him about.
Well, you asked me, I wasn't
Yeah.
present for the proffer.
Exactly. So
But I do know the government accepted everything that was said.
part of the problem that we have is if you weren't there, I don't know if you can speak to this, is it an educated guess on your part that the mayor was not the subject of investigation at that
Absolutely.
time?
Counselor, can I suggest something to you? What was the date of the proffer agreement?
we saw it through
You
the
had
newspaper.
You had it. It was in the paper.
Yeah.
So accepting the paper to
Yeah.
be accurate, it was 2016.
I think it was the end of
I'm
2013.
sorry, 2013.
December
What's the
sometime.
date right now?
We're in 2020.
Right. 2013, also known as 7 years ago.
Yep.
Do you know what the statute of limitations is for criminal conduct?
Was it 6?
5 years.
Okay.
Okay? And nothing happened in 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I think I can reasonably tell you that there is no concern here,
Okay.
based upon all of the objective criteria that I've discussed.
Yeah. Okay, good. And so we see payments for legal fees,
Yes,
and you're saying that was to enhance the mayor's political future?
and it continues.
Okay, so are any of these fees to defend ongoing claims? Or
Ongoing
just
what?
any kind of a claim? Are these claims, or is
The
it just
mayor
to
is not
enhance
involved in a criminal case.
any
The
civil
mayor is not
claims?
involved in a civil case. I made that
Okay.
pretty clear.
Okay, so what is the total amount that he's paid your office?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I could look it up.
What is the hourly rate sitting at this table right now?
The hourly rate at this table?
The combined hourly rate?
I am not certain. My fees are very high.
Okay, what's your hourly rate?
I have, my lowest fee is $1,650 an hour.
An hour. Okay,
hour.
and how about your associate to your right?
I'm not sure. $550.
Okay, so we have over $2,100 an hour sitting in front of us.
Right.
And if your function is to enhance the mayor's political future, and it's got nothing to do with legal representation, wouldn't he be better
Wait a
off
second.
with
I didn't say it had
public
nothing
relations?
to do with legal representation.
Well, so,
I'm representing the mayor. He's my client.
they want. So that's the bottom line. It would make more sense to me that if he's worrying about reputation or political enhancement, that perhaps a PR firm would be a little bit more affordable of an option. What I would say is, and again, your client would have to do this, but perhaps to ease the concern of this council, you make the invoices available. Would he be willing to do that?
Make the invoices available?
Invoices for your services available?
I'll talk to him about it.
Okay,
The invoices for my services are fairly clear.
okay. And so at that point, I have no other questions at this point, but, you know, this is questions off the top of my head without any notice whatsoever we're even going to discuss this evening. So, you know, we'll leave it up to my colleagues. I appreciate your candor. I appreciate you being here. And if my colleagues are so inclined to meet another time, we'll send an invitation and see if it's accepted.
That's fine. And let me suggest to you one other thing, which is I don't tell my client what to do
Sure.
in terms of other representation or alternative methods. I do know that he's very interested in pursuing legal recourse against people who have engaged in a pattern of conduct over many years to lie, to cheat, to misrepresent, and clearly malign his position as mayor of Everett.
I wouldn't blame him. So, okay, thank you.
I have one other speaker, Councilor Adrian.
Just want to say thank you for taking the time to come here today and speak to us. I just want to confirm some of the things that you said. So can you confirm that our mayor has not been in any civil or criminal lawsuits? Is that what you said, or any cases?
Let me be clear in what I said,
Okay.
okay? The subject matter of this appearance has to do with the amount of money he's paid Greenberg Traurig. I can only speak to my representation of the mayor, and I can tell you that I am unaware of any, we're certainly not representing him in any criminal case. We're certainly not representing him in connection with any ongoing civil matter. There is none that I'm aware of. But I don't know about other things. I only know what we represent him on. I thought that was the gravamen of this evening's discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
2 more questions.
Sure.
So the mayor is still paying for your services in part of protecting his reputation? Because there's no more investigations going on. Because the case you referred to was you said there was a verdict of not guilty. So right now,
Verdict of not guilty, I think, was 2014, 2015?
Yeah, no,
I
I'm
was
familiar with the
engaged,
case.
it might have been a little bit later, I'm not sure. I really don't know because I wasn't involved in that case. I can tell you there was a verdict of not guilty in connection with those who were charged as it
Yeah.
related to the site of the casino.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
I can tell you that everybody was found not guilty and there was no further, there were no further charges brought against anybody. I can tell you that there have been all kinds of allegations that were unfounded that have taken place between now and going back 5 years, or certainly back to 2016, when I was asked to represent the mayor, including an obviously specious civil suit, which is now no longer present. That's what I know.
So right now, there's no investigation that
As
you are,
far as I know, I'm not representing him
Okay.
in connection with anything like that.
so you're only representing him right now just to protect his reputation?
I'm representing him pursuant to the dictates of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 55, which allows me to represent him as it relates to matters pertaining to the discharge of his official duties as mayor of Everett.
You said the
And by
map,
the way, I wouldn't necessarily assume that there isn't other recourse here. And by that I mean, I wouldn't necessarily assume that there aren't other possibilities in terms of how his legal fees could be paid.
that's a good point.
I just throw that out.
Any
Okay.
further questions? Counsel Adrian, you still have the floor. Wait a minute, I want to make sure
Yeah, I
that,
don't know if that helps you, but.
As I indicated to everybody before, these allegations not only are attacking the mayor, but they also have an impact on the city of Everett.
Are you saying that the fees are also helping to protect the city of Everett?
That's what I said.
Because the city, oh, okay. Because I thought the
What
city
I s-
solicitor's job was
I
that.
said there might be alternative sources of funding for legal fees.
Other sources, not his campaign funds.
Right.
So he could be paying personally.
He could be paying personally. The city of Everett could be paying. That's what I'm saying. That's a possibility.
The city of Everett could be paying for your fees. So,
I don't know. Let me suggest to you that that has happened in connection with other matters of a very similar nature.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Counsel Hanlon, did you,
I was going to ask the question, but the gentleman just answered my question. So that there were more than one avenue that the mayor has been looking at for legal support. That's exactly what he said. And that's all I want, my question is.
okay, any further questions? If not, we can excuse with the, oh, are there any other questions? I want to make sure everybody speaks first before I call on Counsel Capone for the second time. Counsel Matusky.
I just have one question. By the way, Attorney Pappalardo, is that how you pronounce your name?
Yes.
Well, after your presentation, I can see why you get your hourly wage. You're very impressive. And I haven't heard from your assistant, but...
She's much better. You think I'm kidding?
No, I can
not.
tell. But I got to say, I'm very impressed. I think the city of Everett, you know, the casino is new. Everett's a very different political place than you've ever... You probably know about our superintendent and the way things were done. Well, maybe you don't, but I've been in office for quite a few years, and it's a very difficult place to campaign and stay in office, but I've been very fortunate. If they can't beat you in Everett, they slander you. And it's a very difficult place. And I just want to let you know, I got elected when I was 20, and I'm still here, still in business. And I was a state rep here also. And it was one of the dirtiest campaigns in the history of this community, and they survived it. But let me just say this. If the mayor was to hire you through city funds, that would come before the city council, I'm sure, no? No? Okay. I'm just saying. But I got to tell you, I've been around a long time. You were very impressive, Mr. Pappalardo. Thank you.
Council Capone.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to our guest. I just want to be clear about that one comment that was stated as far as different avenues. I'll wait for you to finish talking.
I'm sorry.
Yep, that's fine.
Go ahead.
I just want to be clear about the statement you had mentioned about various avenues of funding. Have you received, I just want to make sure that your office hasn't received any funds from the city in any matter relating to this, have they?
My comments were very general in nature.
Okay.
I am not worried about my bills being paid.
Okay.
And
I'm just concerned that it's not city money that's being used.
well, all I'm saying is that there's a possibility, and this isn't up to me to decide,
Okay.
much less to advise on. You have lawyers in the city that do that.
Mhm.
But other cities have actually paid for lawyers for very, very similar types of representations.
Okay, but with regards to this, I don't care about other communities.
Yeah.
I just care about this community. Has any funds from the city of Everett been used to pay
To
your
my
fees?
knowledge, no. To my knowledge, no. But that doesn't mean that there isn't exposure there. That's my
Yeah.
only point.
Okay, no, and that's fine. I just wanted clarification on that point. Okay,
Okay, if
thank
there are
you.
no further questions, excuse with the customary thanks. Do I have that in the form of a motion?
Second.
Thank you for appearing.
Thank
You're
you.
excused.
I believe are we agreeable to having another meeting, or is everybody satisfied with tonight? So it'd be the first motion I'd like to make is there a majority of people that would like another meeting?
Council, it's your piece.
That's my piece, then we trying to find a date, so do we refer it back and till we get a proper date? When everybody's,
Do you feel your questions were answered, or do you need more questions?
well, I have more questions,
Okay.
which, but I'm not sure if everybody here has more questions.
Right, this piece is the mayor's piece. That's a communication piece.
Yes, it
So we're
is.
going to refer this back to the mayor.
Yes, we are.
Place on file,
Accept it
yeah.
and place it on
So
file.
the motion
So
is to
in order,
accept,
if you want,
so the motion is to accept the communication placed on file.
right.
Second.
In the second part, I don't know if it pertains to communications, is our meeting on the 9th. What do we do about that tonight?
The meeting will have to be canceled, and you can put it back on the agenda again. Is
So-
that correct?
You can work with the
Tom?
president and the.
But do we cancel it tonight?
No, no, because it's not in front of you.
Exactly.
So, and I'm not sure how to discharge of it without it being on the agenda. Mr. Burley, right? We would do it only if it's on the agenda. So what you would do is, it's one thing that you can
So
actually
right now,
do
we're
to
going to
email.
accept the communication, place on
There's a file,
file.
and
And
that's
the
it.
second is we more or
We're
less
going to
going to
go
have
to
to
the
go.
March 9th meeting, and then we're going to either postpone it.
We're going to have to
or-
postpone it the night off,
Yeah.
right?
You don't
Okay.
even have to do that, because you don't have to convene, because the chairman, which is the president, working with you and the committees, can see what time is more beneficial. Just because you've decided that date, we still have to hold it, but
Okay.
we can push it if need be. That's
All right.
the right of the
And
president.
I'm going to get a consensus of this
Yeah.
group if they want to
Okay,
continue
I
on.
have-
So the movie is to is to accept the communication placed on file.
Correct.
Right, so on that motion, I have Counsel DePiero, and then I have Counsel Capone.
Thank you, Madam President. The mayor's attorney answered the questions that were raised about expenditures related to campaign finances, which this body has no oversight over. It's governed by the Massachusetts Office of Campaign and Political Finance. I'm not going to sit here idle and allow this body to open itself up to lawsuits. Let's stop allowing a local self-proclaimed newsletter dictate this agenda. Campaigning should be done out on the street. Let's do the job we were elected to do here, conduct the business of the city. put differences aside, and let's keep moving the city to get forward together. Thank you.
Counsel Capone?
Thank you, Madam President. Again, we got a lot of information tonight, which is great. A little disappointed that this is the way that this came about. There were two things that weren't able to be answered this evening, and it would give me a little more peace of mind. One was the total amount that's been paid to this office, and the second thing is whether or not invoices for services would be made available. So I don't know if in the interim, we want to put that request to the mayor's office, and then maybe the information that's retrieved from there, maybe it puts the whole committee of the whole to rest, because we did get a lot of answers tonight. Again, wasn't everything that I was prepared to say, because I haven't even dug into it. I dug in for tonight. I didn't dig in for March 9th. But the reality is, the overriding concern is that we just have to make sure that not only do things appear above board, that they are. And so I just wanted to know how much we're talking about in invoices for services. And that
Well,
should
as far as
cover
the
a
piece
lot.
that's in front of us, that's
Yeah.
only a communication.
Right.
So I don't know
Yeah.
what other.
So I mean, I
things
guess
we-
the only thing we'd do
So
is.
you can
is-
always put anything on
yeah.
the agenda that you would like.
I would say
and
accept the
request
communication.
information.
Yeah, I would say accept the communication and request of the mayor that he forward to the council total amount that was paid and the invoices for legal fees. Now, he doesn't have to,
Okay,
but it's just a request. And then we can figure out whether or not we need to do a committee of the whole again down the road.
okay.
But
So the
that's
motion
what I
is,
think.
I'll support that.
And I'll support that also.
I have a second. All right, so the motion would be to accept the communication,
Place it on file.
place it on file,
And, Mr. Capone, Counselor? it
ask the
was
mayor,
Well, yep,
The amount expended.
the total
and the
amount
invoices.
expended from the office,
And
this
the
office.
invoices.
And the invoices
And-
for that
and-
office.
Yeah, the
correct?
invoices, yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm just gonna write it here,
The
so I
thing
can
is,
ask
I don't know if it's better to lay it over. Lay it over and then have it and then go from there. Because we have a piece here. So we could lay this over, get that information and go from there.
You could just get it in writing, and if everyone is satisfied,
Yeah.
you still have the right to discuss.
Madam President, the mayor's indicated he'd like to answer the request by Council Capone.
Can I just point out that under the Massachusetts general laws, all of the payments that are made by a campaign committee go through the Office of Campaign Finance. They're public records. You don't have to go through this charade. They're available to anybody who wants them, somebody on the street.
But invoices are not.
Right, just like all your ads in the Leader Herald that you pay for are in your campaign finance report, right? That all you pay for? Same thing.
Yep.
It's all, it's there.
So it's the invoices that we don't have and we don't have access to.
So,
You know, and whether we're entitled to them or not is a different story. But we can at least request it.
okay, so the motion is to accept the committee communication and place on file, and with the request of the invoices. If the mayor chooses not to give them to you, he doesn't have to.
What I would say is, place on file, I'd lay this over or postpone it to our next meeting
Postpone it to the next
to
meeting.
give the mayor an opportunity to respond whether or not he does want to provide those or not. And then we'll go from there.
I'm not gonna, I can't go back and forth with this.
Right.
I
See,
have a full
and
agenda.
I don't this is
understand.
exactly why
This
this
is
should
the
have
Office
been
of
in a
Campaign
committee.
Finance Report. You disclose your expenditures and your revenues on your reports. You do that every year. I file mine electronically. You'll see what I spend my money on.
Are the invoices there, Mr. Mayor? He's
The-
requesting, no, wait a minute. He's requesting the invoices. You do not have to give them
Will
to
you
him.
give me all your invoices and all the money you spend? You itemize? I don't understand. You want an itemized report? You want an itemized, so instead of
He
saying
just wanna
legal, you
wait a
want it
minute.
broken
Are we gonna
down?
debate now?
Clarify this.
You want an
So-
itemized report on my spending from?
No.
Madam
All
President.
he's asking is for
just-
invoices
Oh, my
based on,
This is ridiculous. This is absolutely
This whole thing,
ridiculous.
Councilman Capone, is ridiculous.
Okay.
You've been slaughtering me for the last 14
Okay.
years, all of
Mr.
you.
Mayor.
Not all of you, I'm going to say all of you. Some of you.
President, I
especially the
haven't done
Marchese
one
family,
thing.
slaughtering me for years.
all right.
Years.
I'm gonna
You know
ask for
exactly what I'm
recess.
talking
We
about.
can leave here at
So-
12 o'clock tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to end up. We're going to
Okay.
end up because we have a full
I
meeting.
request a 10-minute recess.
You should.
Madam President, we don't need a recess. We don't need a recess, Madam President.
Yeah.
Madam President. Fucking unreal.
We'll reconvene.
Madam President, I'd like to suspend the rules and take item 17.
Well, we still
Well, we
still
get
haven't,
it.
Oh,
We still haven't
One step
voted on
ahead of
item 2
myself.
yet.
well, believe me, I share the sentiment. but-
Okay, let's make it quick.
Okay. So, on this one, the motion that I'd be making is to postpone, probably to our next meeting. That would be, give the mayor an opportunity to respond, with the request that the total amount paid to the law office and invoices for services rendered.
Now, we all understand that he does not have to give us that information.
Absolutely. He does not have to do that.
Okay.
So we're just making an inquiry if he's willing to turn those over. And the other thing is just to ensure that there were no city funds paid for any legal representation.
I
So,
think the
Yeah.
attorney was pretty clear about that tonight, but, okay.
so that's the motion.
Wait a minute, do I have a second on that motion? So the motion is to refer this to the, I'm sorry, postpone for 2 weeks.
Yep.
And have the
To our
mayor
next
give
meeting.
us the invoices.
Well, request, if
Request the
he's willing
invoices
to provide the
and
invoices.
the amount that he paid to
total
the
amount paid.
attorney, and make sure that no city funds were used.
Correct.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Clerk, we have a sign-in sheet?
Oh,